From the Stadio Comunale in Florence, where the local spectators have one of their highlights of their season, the visit of AC Milan. Milan are fitting their league fixtures around an attempt to win the European Cup for a third consecutive year, and as I'm sure many of you know, they're already this season's World Club Champions, a title they retained in Tokyo in December. Well, many of these players were regulars for Milan when they last won the league championship back in 1988. And they've come very close again in the two seasons since then. But you sense this is a crucial phase for them. Will it be glory or another near miss for Arrigo Sacchi's side? They have been so hard to beat in their domestic matches, but the goals haven't exactly been flowing. As for Fiorentina, well, they made a faltering start after being good enough to reach the final of the UEFA Cup last May. They're missing today once more Luboš Kubik, their gifted Czechoslovakian midfield player. He's been injured for some time. Two others are out with suspension, so places for Pioli and for the Romanian Marius Lakatos. In the fine city of Florence, the winter weather has failed to halt the football, although Fiorentina have had to train indoors all week in preparation for this match that's attracted a full house to the Stadio Comunale. Milan in a change strip of all white. They were in action in midweek in the Italian Cup quarter-final first leg. They won 1-0 at Bari, and they're making an invigorating start here with Hullet, and very nearly a goal within seconds from the kickoff. And one hopes that's an indication that Milan, as we move on into the second half of the season, that now victories in away games are a top priority. Fiorentina, their Brazilian coach, Sebastião Lazzaroni, who was in charge of Brazil's abortive effort to win the World Cup here last summer. He's picked three out-and-out strikers in his formation. Lakatos, who's back in the side. Borgonovo, who played for Milan, as Hullet tries another strike. And Renato Busso. And it's a real joy to be able to tell you that the pitch here is nigh on perfect. And maybe that explains the way Milan have come out with a glint in their eyes, really, right from the kickoff. To get the ball down and play, it's been so difficult for them to do, of course, in their home games. Fiorentina have lost only one of their last 8. And that was last week away to Sampdoria, which was no disgrace, particularly as they had to play for the second half with only 10 men and only conceded the goal in the closing stages. Lakatos with the throw. Hullet. Rijkaard repositioning. Cassotti, who's back in the side at right back, and it very nearly ran on through for Hullet to collect. Also back from Milan today, Paolo Maldini, who broke his collarbone playing in the World Club Championship early in December in Tokyo. He's wearing number 3. Carlo Ancelotti at 4. Baresi. So all three Dutchmen here for Milan. But the player who really has been scoring the goals, Daniele Massaro, who had 5 seasons with Fiorentina, and having scored the winning goal for Milan against his old club when these two sides met back in September in the San Siro Stadium. Here he is. He'll be looking to complete a very satisfying double if he can do the trick again here. Ancelotti. And all the play at the moment is in the home team's half. Maldini. Roberto Donadoni was taken down by Lacatouche, who has a terrible track record in tackles. He's a striker who can do more damage usually than the defenders who are trying to stop him. Donadoni got up to take the free kick, but there was a famous defender in Spain called Goycochea. They called him the Butcher of Bilbao. Well, Lacazette broke his leg. That might be an example of the approach that Maslaka had. But here's a temptation and hope to see that side of his game in this match. Busso, the Juventus-year-old. Here's the coach. Bench a few weeks, and is perhaps. Ancelotti. Paulette. Brought down by the Fiorentina captain, Carlos Dunga from Brazil. Came roaring out, realising that others were a little slow to pull it down, but his own challenge was on the late side. Maregini is in his first season in the Italian First Division in the Fiorentina goal. And he'll be wondering here exactly which of Milan's multi-talented lineup a shot might be coming from. Rijkaard is there, Donadoni's on the ball, Baresi doing his gesticulating, Hullet curls it! And the goalkeeper must have been pretty sure that that was off target, close as it was. Well, Ruud Hullet, in the opening 5 minutes, has continually challenged Fiorentina with his shooting. Baresi. Milan have won here the last couple of seasons, quite eventful games too. A couple of goals a year ago for Marco van Basten, both of them penalties, but the previous season Van Basten was sent off on this ground. Maregini, who's taken over during the course of this season from Landucci, who was the first choice for the previous 4 years. Dunga trying to find some sort of service to this in theory attack-minded Fiorentina selection, but they just can't get hold of the ball in the middle of the field at the moment. Donadoni. Maldini going outside him. Plenty of space for Ancelotti to express himself here. And Hullet again, undetected, against the post, he's getting closer and closer. And Fiorentina just don't seem to be learning their lesson. Hullet's hovering really in an advanced midfield role, and no one is getting within yards of him really from the Fiorentina point of view. He's dropped a little deeper this time behind Rijkaard, who instead opts to use Ancelotti. Well, it lets it run and goes beyond Tassotti and in the end rather got in his way. So a terrific drive from Hullet, and Maregini really beaten to the wide here. Back off the post. Fiorentina are hard to crack on this ground. Just lost to Parma. Was back towards the end of October. Hullet Salvatore trying to keep him at bay, but unsuccessfully. Rijkaard can set the sights now. Well, the only consolation for Fiorentina is the shots are coming from outside the penalty area. Maragini flung himself at that, but in the end didn't need to save it. And there's Lazzaroni, clearly believing he's got to make a change to try and stem the tide. There's hardly been a good tackle in the midfield area, where Milan are holding their mastery at the moment. Here's Dell'Olio, giving it away though to Ancelotti. Guided back by Massaro. That's Pioli, the number 2 for Fiorentina, who's playing his first game in the first team since April because of injury. And there's a defender missing here, as Van Basten cuts it back. Maldini does well to get a shot in. Massaro at the far post couldn't find an angle to go for goal and was trying to guide it back across. Ancelotti. Well, Lazzaroni's been making great play of the type of team he wanted to put out tactically for this game. It might suit them if they can get the ball and show the attacking emphasis to it, but he may feel he can't let things go on much longer like this. Maldini poured at by Maragini and headed against a defensive body by Massaro on the far side. And Dunga grateful to make an interception in an area where Fiorentina are finding it very hard at the moment. And it's Iachini who is going to come on. We've still had, 18 minutes played. Dunga. Orlando stopped by Costa Curta, who's been named this week in the Italian squad for next week's international against Belgium. Costa Curta and Baresi, the 2 representatives of Milan. Not Donadoni, who's had an injury problem recently. Well, Iachini comes on for Borgonovo, who I must say, from my point of view, hadn't shown too much sign of discomfort. And given the discomfort that Fiorentina were feeling as they were absolutely swamped at the start of this game by Milan coming through midfield, a midfield player for a striker, smacks of a tactical alteration. Lakatush. Donadoni. Iachini immediately getting to the ball first, which is surely what his instructions will be. Maldini, who came through the Italian Cup game with flying colours on Wednesday. Also Evani, who's been missing over the same period, came on as a substitute, although he's not in the 16 players named by Arrigo Sacchi for this match. Sacchi, incidentally, has turned down, for the moment, the offer of an extension to his contract, which runs out in 1992. There are suspicions in these parts that Real Madrid are nibbling for his services. Free kick given away by Salvatore. Here's Ancelotti. It's a beautiful surface to weight the passing on. Tassotti with the cross, Van Basten. "17 games in the Championship, 6 goals, a couple of those penalties. It's not been a vintage season from Van Basten." It's a yellow card for Ancelotti for bringing down 19-year-old Massimo Orlando. Ancelotti, I think, saying, well, that was my first foul, but it was of sufficient savagery to have referee Fabio Baldas pull the card out straight away. He's hardly had to make a tackle, Ancelotti, until then, and now pull it impeded by Iachini, who's come on here bristling with aggression. And he too pays the price for that. Was a cynical piece of play. Van Basten having his say, but I'm sure he can't come to this stadium without being reminded of the red card that was brandished in front of him 2 years ago. If memory serves me right, at a stage in the game where Milan were cruising to victory as well. Dunga. We're halfway through the first half. Fiorentina, rather fortunately, are still at a 0-0 situation against Milan, who are here third in the table, but level on points with the 2 teams above them, Inter and Sampdoria. A point behind the 3 come Juventus. Lakatush. That's given away by Donadoni. Fiorentina not really fueling the passion of their own supporters at the moment. Pazzagli has had virtually nothing to do. Baresi. Hullet made a nuisance of himself to allow the ball to run on to Rijkaard. Tassotti. Ancelotti's cross. Malucci challenging with Van Basten, Del Olio, and now Orlando. That's good work from the teenager, who slips Costacurta as well. And the referee's got to take action again. He's right on the spot, Fabio Baldas. There was some cover behind Costacurta. When one thinks of the specification about goal-scoring opportunity, it wasn't that. But it was certainly a thou shalt not pass tackle or barge by Costacurta. The card not shown this time. Iachini set up well for him. And it's taken 25 minutes for Fiorentina to fire a meaningful shot, and they've only got that from a player that they've brought on during that period of being overrun. It was a good strike too, and Pazzagli was certainly concerned about that. Donadoni, miscue from Facenda. Salvatore can't get very far. Maldini. Trying to be a bit more direct, and Orlando has given us one or two more promising moments as the game has started to slightly improve from the Fiorentina point of view. Pullet. Easily past Dunga. Now confronted by Iachini. But Dell'Olio got back, and Hullet was rather left to his own devices. Oh, Van Basten! Really, from Hullet's challenge, the chance is still on. And Milan, who arguably all season haven't been at their most ruthless around the opposition goal, it's becoming a well-worn statistic that they haven't scored 3 goals in any league game this season. This is their 20th, remember. But thanks to Hullet's willingness to keep his head up and chase a ball that he'd lost, Van Basten got an opportunity that almost took him by surprise, and Milan yet again couldn't round it all off, and Donadoni dropped into a heap here by Salvatore. And Lakatush cast in the role of bridge builder there. Unusual for him. Milan looking for a goal that they thoroughly deserve, but haven't been able to claim. Oh, and a mistake by Ancelotti, and they might find themselves going behind, which really would be a smash and grab job. Busso. Past Massaro. Dell'Olio's in there, Iachini as well. Rijkaard gets it upfield, and they've lost Hullet once more. Somebody's got to try and mark him. Whether it's a player for back line or one of the midfield men. But he's leading them a dance at the moment. The rain comes down that much harder. Snow late in the week, but it's above freezing. It's not very pleasant. Tassotti, Ancelotti. Well, Maragini and Pazzagli, and oddly enough, the 2 substitute goalkeepers here, all played for the 3rd division club close to Florence called Rondinella. It's quite an unusual tie-up. I'm sure they've been comparing notes as they've got together for this game. They've all come through from that nursery area with degrees of success. Fiorentina 11th in the table. They've improved their lot since the turn of the year. Good work by Facenda here. Iachini, Dunga. Turned on by Lakatush, read by Baresi, laid off by Van Basten. Donadoni, Hullet able to pick his pass again, and not sure that he was aiming for Rijkaard. Dell'Olio. Facenda, who's the deepest of the defenders for Fiorentina. Rigasaki masked his 3rd from the end on the bench, 3rd from the far end. Maldini. Through the back of Massaro. Came Malushi. When Massaro was a Fiorentina player, he was successful enough to play for Italy. I would think his international days have probably gone now, but he's very much in the forefront of what Milan have been doing, and he's kept his place deservedly. 3 goals in the last 3 games. He waits in the middle now for Hullit's cross. Maldini couldn't wrap a foot round it. Dell'Olio with a throw. Out by Pioli, who won a championship medal with Juventus back in 1986, the last year when Juventus were champions of Italy. It's a pretty dismal scene, but the game is being played, and that was in a little bit of doubt around Thursday, Friday time. Not because of the pitch, but because of surrounding areas. Maldini. It's a good cross, and there's Hullit. That looked very much on target. Hullit cursing his ill fortune again. Tassotti's cross. Rijkaard is there. Malushi is down. It does seem just a matter of time before, look at that, outside of the post, before Milan to get the lead that their approach play certainly merits. Well, Fiorentina having made 1 change. Macchini for Borgonovo. I wonder whether Malushi can go on. Never that clear-cut when it's a problem that might involve concussion. Well, 1 Fiorentina shot from Macchini and 8 from Milan. And Lazzaroni, who is a most articulate man in many languages, needing to get his message across here. Ten minutes left in the first half. Tassotti, Rijkaard down and up again, and wondering with the referee whether the game was going to be stopped then. Maldini, Milan able to get the ball almost at will. Donadoni. Van Basten. It's a combined challenge, really. It's certainly not bad weather for Northern Europeans, Van Basten and Hullit and Rijkaard. Well, they've played many times in their own country in such circumstances. There's Rijkaard! And again, the inquests go on. Salvatore and Facenda having a say-so about this as to how Frank Rijkaard got there first. Pioli changing the direction cleverly for Lakatos. It's a chance for Fiorentina, and Baresi got in and blocked it. Lakatos is there again, and it would have been scant justice, really, but the opening was there for the Romanian, who's earned this lucrative move to Italy for taking this sort of chance. But Baresi with some top-class defending when Milan needed him, and needed him really for the first time in this game. But we're into stoppage time in what seems as though it's going to be a goalless first half. That's the way it has finished. And Milan will be annoyed with themselves that they haven't really put Fiorentina to the sword. It was so one-sided, particularly in the first 20 minutes when it was romping free, and Lazzaroni was left very anxious indeed, particularly by the shot that hit Maragini's right-hand post. Rijkaard clipped the same post as well. And the statistics confirm, really, Milan's domination, except for the figures at the bottom of your screen, which say Fiorentina 0, Milan 0. Fiorentina about to start the second half, having been pretty much overrun in the first, but they managed to survive it without conceding a goal. Arrigo Sacchi, I'm sure, will have asked for more of the same from the approach work. Although Maragini did twice see the ball hit his right-hand post, the Fiorentina goalkeeper hasn't had to perform acrobatics, despite all the possession that Milan have had. Given the way the game has developed, it almost seems irrelevant to tell you about the games Fiorentina have won at home. There have only been 3 of them, all against teams in the bottom half of the table: Atalanta, Bologna and Cesena. Confirmation of the Fiorentina lineup with Iachini, that tactical substitute, inside 20 minutes. Replacing the obviously bitterly disappointed Stefano Borgonovo. But the names with the familiar ring to them on the team sheet put out by Arrigo Sacchi. But here's Del Olio for Fiorentina. Salvatore. And Lakatos not getting the ball as far as he would have hoped. Busso drove it in low. Rijkaard. It was Orlando who got back. Arguably the most energetic of the Fiorentina performers in the first half. Busso, and it is offside, but it was Malushi who'd run a long way and couldn't resist putting the ball in. But he was considerably offside. Massaro. On the Milan bench, Marco Simone, the striker who scored the winning goal in their Italian Cup quarter-final first leg in Bari on Wednesday. But it's hard for Simone and several others to get an appearance in the league team. Donadoni has done very well. Rijkaard's at the near post. Well, when he stretched towards the goal line, Donadoni felt he'd had to take extra touches. Just, I would think, to be sure of his balance, really, on this sodden surface. There's been no abating of the rain during half-time. They've got half an hour to go. Baresi. Iachini doing that midfield ball-winning job twice. Colette. He's turned and lost Orlando and made space for a cross that looked very promising for a moment for Milan. Donadoni, faced by Lakatos, who's had to do a lot more defending than attacking. Donadoni tries his luck, it's deflected and skimmed away when it could easily have found the top corner. Donadoni showing the urgency that Milan need. But the only net he hit was the one behind the goal, designed to stop the ball going into that vacant area to take too long to retrieve. Orlando's header away. Tassotti. Still a lot of players forward for Milan. Tassotti looks at the far post and claims there that Rijkaard was fouled. The game goes on as Donadoni retrieved the ball on the far side, and Ancelotti could hardly have been further off target. But that was a bit more like it from Milan after a rather unemotional start to the second half. But will they find the finish? They find themselves third in the table with only 21 goals from 19 games. They've only conceded 10. But Inter in particular have more thrust of the rivals. Orlando feels that he controlled the ball with an arm. Fiorentina seem to be getting Marco Nappi, who is an attacking player, limbering up to try and come on and challenge the Milan supremacy, which still remains territorially and tactically and in talent as well, but not on the scoreline. Costa Curta. Maldini. Van Basten tracked as always by Pioli. Pull it on the left this time. Rijkaard tries to steer it across goal, where Massaro was hoping to get free, but good defending by Facenda. Milan have the corner. Rolled back by Rijkaard to Tassotti. Ancelotti, who's a specialist at shooting from long range. This is Costa Curta. Ooh, and the referee had turned away then, and I do think that Pioli might well have fouled Maldini, actually, as the referee was turning his back. Milan had some complaints. Tassotti, but they really should have put the game beyond arguing about whether a penalty should be awarded or not. Rijkaard spoons it in, and Meregini makes a much appreciated catch. When Fiorentina needed some order to come to the proceedings, this is the end of the concerted spell of pressure. Rijkaard was slipping and trying to steer it towards Massaro, but prior to that, Maldini went down on the far side, inside the penalty area. But I don't think the referee saw exactly what happened, even though he was close to the incident. Well, Milan have stretched the patience of their supporters. They felt, the way the game started here, that the outcome was automatic. Fiorentina, in an unlikely way, have been able to make a fight of it, at least to preserve the position that the game started at. And this is very much the Italian way of things in the closing stages. If you are at 0-0, maybe one attack can settle it, and there's Nappi trying to prove the point. Well found by the perception of Orlando, who even in difficult circumstances here has looked an interesting prospect, and in a better team might have more to offer. Fiorentina coming late again, but a little too late that time was Nappi. Maldini. Gullit trying to come across the line of the goalkeeper. And goalkeepers are pretty sacred beings in the Italian game. Back in Holland, Gullit would be expected to put his weight into that sort of situation. And Maragini, with that left knee raised, was quite capable of looking after himself. Maldini's header. Donadoni. Off goes Gullit. Iachini labouring to stay with him. He's wrong-footed, Iachini. Rijkaard trying to muscle his way in front of Dell'Olio. But they have become rather predictable, Milan. And that's given Fiorentina the opportunity, having not been able to read their play at all in the opening chapter of this particular story from the Italian First Division. But they fathomed it all out in the second half, when the dangerous moments to Maragini's goal have been much fewer. Salvatore. Nappi's gone to the right. Here's Dell'Olio to the left. But just Nappi to aim for in the centre. Salvatore trying to muster some sort of support for him. Orlando won't want to go all the way back, that's not in his makeup. But he's rather given Milan back the edge. Here's Gullit. It's a difficult angle, he went to try and simply blast it past Maragini. And although the goalkeeper was on his way down, he got in line. But it all came because Orlando didn't want to knock the back pass, and Milan seized upon that. But you almost feel pleased for the 19-year-old who's shown some attacking ideas for Fiorentina, that his mistake didn't cost his team the game. That's Gullit, and Fiorentina are very nearly, I was going to say home and dry, but that doesn't seem a very appropriate expression in the circumstances. The crowd reacting to news that they're picking up from elsewhere in Italy, and wondering whether in the few seconds that remain from this free kick here, somebody in this distinctive Fiorentina strip can get their head to a ball into the Milan penalty area. Whoever it is, well, we're going to be able to spot him because there aren't too many coming forward. They're not going to take a risk even now in stoppage time. And that's Lakatos. He was offside. Ancelotti. Van Basten. We've seen the best of Gullit at the beginning of the game and in its closing stages. And that was Tassotti, who would have been better advised to head across goal and try and squeeze anything in at the near post. Well, it certainly hasn't gone to plan for Lazzaroni. He's had to alter his tactics as the game has developed. But I'm sure at the outset he would have been happy with a draw, and that's what he's got for Fiorentina. From the Milan point of view, this must go down as a missed opportunity. A final score from Florence, it's Fiorentina 0, Milan